So that's the first type of empowerment, empowerment to delight. The second type is empowerment to resolve. When you're dealing with a customer complaint, and unfortunately they will happen. We're in the business of human interactions and we all make mistakes and things happen. But when they do, and a customer brings that to your attention, it's a gift. We're fortunate that they're giving us a chance to fix it and be aware of it. But this is when you must feel empowered to do what feels right in the moment for that guest, whatever you believe that is. And from the CEO and owner of Seaside Dining Group, Garen Grieve, to your manager, to you, the message is clear. You're empowered to do what it takes. Now, we want to also protect the business. That might mean not giving away $10,000 worth of breakfast coupons. We don't always need to go to that extent, but do what feels right in the moment. You can always turn to your manager for help. You can always, if you're unsure, ask, but get used to the feeling of being responsible and being trusted. That's super important to us. Now, both at Denny's and at Jack in the Box, those two brands have great ways of handling guest complaints, and you'll get training on that as well. One is tact and one is care. These are great problem-solving models. I've got a 4-step model that I use that encompasses everything that both of them use, but I'm going to point out 2 key parts of that I want you to focus on. Step 1 is to listen carefully when the guest is sharing a complaint with you. We've talked all about what those listening techniques are already. It's important to let them let it out of their system too, so be patient. Listen as long as it is they want to share their problems. That'll deflate them, it'll take the energy out of the problem, and it will calm them down. Once you've listened, the most important thing you should do is apologize. This is often overlooked when someone's dealing with a complaint. And it's the single most powerful part of dealing with a complaint. The word sorry. We might not always be comfortable saying it. Might not always want to say it. Sometimes we might have an opinion about that guest and whether it really is a real complaint or not. Maybe you might think they're trying to just get something for free. We have to trust them, and we have to demonstrate that we trust them. And part of that is by genuinely apologizing, using the word sorry. I'm going to take a moment to tell a story about a time in my career when I really learned this lesson personally. I was working in a luxury beach resort on the island of Bermuda, and I had 10 ladies that were staying with us for a reunion holiday. It was a very special trip that they planned for months. I've been working with one of the ladies to plan out all the details for this trip, from their snorkeling adventures to all their restaurants. It was the last day of their trip, and they'd all gone down to stay on this beautiful, soft, pink sand beach that we had. They had a fantastic day. It was hot and sticky, but they were in and out of the beach. And believe me, that beautiful soft sand I talked about, it sticks to you everywhere. So they had to get upstairs and shower and change before they went for their grand finale dinner. Unfortunately, just before they'd gone upstairs, the water boiler for the entire hotel had broken down. There was no hot water in the building, which meant they all had to have a really cold shower to get ready for dinner. And it wasn't just a quick shower that you just hop in and hop out of, because they had sand stuck everywhere. It was just that they had to have a good long shower, but a cold one. It wasn't a pleasant way to kind of round out this really fabulous trip that they were having. As they walked down through the lobby on their way to dinner, the ringleader looked at me and wagged a finger and said, "Donald, we need to talk about what just happened, but we're not doing it now. Be back here at 10 in the morning. We're going to discuss this further." And off they went to dinner. They had a wonderful dinner. I didn't have such a great sleep that night, though. I was so nervous about seeing them the next day. So I was there at 9:30, bright and early, ready and waiting for them. And sure enough, at 10 o'clock, they descend into the lobby and they circle around me. There's no getting out. I looked around and looked at each of them, and I started by saying, ladies, I am truly sorry for what happened last night. Please know we didn't intentionally pull the plug on the boiler. It's so unfortunate that it went out. And I know it meant you all had to have cold showers last night. I'm really proud of our engineers. They got it back online within an hour, but that wasn't soon enough for you. And I know it put a real damper on your stay. No pun intended. So I just wanted to say how sincerely sorry I am that we had that problem last night. And the ringleader looked at me and said, Donald, that's all we needed to hear. And they walked off. I was standing there fully empowered, feeling ready to do what it took. In fact, I expected I was going to have to offer them one complimentary night each for the night before. That was a $10,000 problem in the making. I didn't need a 4-step resolution process. I just needed 2, because I offered a genuine apology. It was a $10,000 apology. Again, like I said earlier, you don't need to give out $10,000 worth of breakfast. I hope not. And that's not what this is about. It's a reminder that saying sorry genuinely with eye contact and care is often all we need to do. But once we've done that, we'll respond. And we'll respond in an empowered way with whatever it is you feel is right in the moment for that guest to make it right. And then the 4th step, take action. Make sure it happens. It might be something one of your team members has to do. If that's the case, make sure they've done it. Because if we don't, our problem's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's one other tip for being empowered to resolve guest problems, and that is to make sure you don't ever do something a guest is allergic to. Our guests have lots of allergies nowadays, but the one allergy that they've always had is that they're allergic to the word no. So if you can, avoid using that actual word when you're dealing with a problem. There's other ways you can word it, and your manager can always work with you with other great suggestions. Could be, oh, unfortunately we can't do that. However, we could offer you this or this. And if you offer them 2 solutions without saying no, psychologically, mentally, you're going to make them feel immediately much better. They feel much more in control because they're now making a choice. And they feel great because they haven't had an allergic response to that word no. So try really hard and practice with your team members on how to respond to things without using that actual word. Now we're going to talk about being inspired. What does being inspired mean to you? What inspires you? Take a moment to think about that. For some of us, it's our family. For some of us, it's our children. We're inspired to work hard, to invest in them because they're so amazing. Sometimes we're inspired to be the best. We're inspired by our co-workers that we think do a better job than us and we want to be as good as them. The definition of inspiration in the dictionary is something that makes someone want to do something or that gives someone an idea about what to do or create. Or it could just be a good idea. So think about what inspires you. We at Seaside Dining want to inspire you. We want to inspire you to be your best. We want to inspire you to give great service to our guests. We want to inspire you to live our service culture statement by talking about it enthusiastically like we are today. So take that inspiration and use it to help you exceed. So our service culture statement is inspired to exceed. We want you to exceed our guest expectations. We want you to exceed your own expectations. And with all of that, we will exceed our expectations in all of our results. Here's some great reminders of what you can do to be inspired to exceed on a daily basis. At the beginning of a day, say to yourself, every time I interact with a guest, I am going to be the best part of that guest's day. Most times we don't know what the guest day has been like. Some might be having a great day. Well, then it's hard to be the best part of their day, but we're going to really work at it. Maybe they're really having a rough day, but if we're going to be the best part of their day, that's really going to put a smile on their face. So that's a great goal to set out with at the beginning of your day. Another great goal is to always be or do things that are pleasantly unexpected. If a guest comes into one of our restaurants, they expect to order, they expect the food to come, and they expect to eat. But we want to be pleasantly unexpected in things that all happen that are above those expectations. The order's taken immediately, the food comes early, the food tastes better than they expected. And then you've created some of those moments of magic that we talked about because you're empowered, and that's truly unexpected in a pleasant way. So set out to be pleasantly unexpected. And also set out to make people smile. I talked earlier about helping people and making them happy. Well, you'll surely know if people are happy if you see a smile on the face like all of these on screen now. How can you help but smile when you see smiles like that? Set out with a goal to make people smile. If you go to a table and someone's really grumpy, keep working and working and working until they crack a smile and you know your work is done. It's a great indicator that you've delivered service excellence. Other ways you can do this and be inspired to exceed expectations are by showing a genuine sense of interest. That can be by turning your feet and giving them your absolute attention. It could be by paraphrasing and listening carefully, a lot of the things that we've talked about already. But it can also be through the enthusiasm of how you talk. Think about the words that you use and how you convey them. Some of us are quiet people and some of us are quite loud people, and they sound enthusiastic. But the words that we sound, whatever volume we use, can demonstrate enthusiasm. If you use the word brilliant or wonderful to describe something, that's you being enthusiastic about it. Someone might say, "Oh, could I have this for lunch, please?" That's a great choice. I love that dish. It's very enthusiastic and it makes them feel good, draws you to them and makes it very personal. You can also use questions as a way to show interest. Using questions also helps you extract some of the golden nuggets. It could be that you just say, "How is your day going so far?" And they start telling you about their day and you learn that they just graduated, or that they actually have had a pretty rotten day and you've got a chance to just do one extra thing for them to put a smile on their face and make it a brighter day. It could be that you ask, is this a special occasion? Do you remember that table that we looked at in the picture earlier? We figured out someone was having a birthday, but it might have been an anniversary, or maybe someone was leaving a workplace and they were being celebrated. If you just ask a question, is this a special occasion? Now you're getting more about the golden nuggets that you can go off and do magic with. And it just shows that we care. We also want you to anticipate, and I know I mentioned that before, but anticipating a guest's needs show that you care about them, but it also saves them effort. You do that by watching all your tables and seeing what might be missing, whether it's napkins or a drink that needs to be filled up, or salt that's missing. It could be by anticipating that someone might need ketchup because of something that they've ordered. There's many ways we can anticipate and challenge each other to figure out who needs what in a restaurant and get it for them. And the way I like to think about it is that we're finding things for our guests before they even know they need them. And the last way to exceed guest expectations is by using a concept called the +1 concept. It's a fun thing to do with your team members, but it's something that's easy for you to use at any time. The challenge I lay out to you is to think about things that you're asked for, or things that people need, or things that people are expecting from you. Think about the most common ones. Think about what it takes to meet their expectations and fulfill their request. But then ask yourself, What's the one extra thing that I can do over and above this to make it magical, to make it pleasantly unexpected? If we start figuring out what those plus ones are to our everyday tasks, and we start doing them all the time, and they're the things that we get asked for the most, hundreds of times in a day, thousands of times in a day across all seaside dining restaurants, we will be exceeding guest expectations without even thinking about it, barely even trying. And this is a challenge that I want you to work on with your team members and your manager, to constantly figure out how you can plus one things that you do all day, every day. The last part of our service culture statement is the thing that really is at the heart of all things at Seaside Dining. It's something that's incredibly important to our CEO and owner, Garen Grieve, and that is doing everything with kindness. This really is as much for our guests as it is for each other. Always think about your colleagues and what you can do for them. Think about our guests and think about what you can do for them. What can you do to make something easy for the next person? Are you always using those good manners that we talked about earlier? Always try and just be friendly with people. Don't avoid them. Make the first move. And do your part to create a happy team environment in the workplace. We want every restaurant to be a place that people love to work because they love working with each other. To have a sense of belonging in your workplace is incredibly powerful. Not only is it powerful for you, it is for your colleagues, and believe it or not, it makes the service better as well. And always do everything with a big old smile. Smile while you talk, smile while you're standing, smile while you're sitting, smile while you're at the host stand, smile while you're in the kitchen, smile at the front door, just smile. It's infectious, and it's at the heart of service. And if you focus on doing all of these things, just these 5 simple ingredients, then you are fit to be a wonderful employee of Seaside Dining Group, who's empowered to serve, inspired to exceed, and does it always with kindness. Thanks for listening, and welcome to our team.